The LS2 was a blessing and a curse. Now, despite the bad rep the LS2 get from the early model C6 Corvettes, man, we cannot deny the legacy of the LS2. From the CTS V1, the Trailblazer SS, the GTO, like the LS2 was an absolute monster outside the C6 Corvette. Now, the CTS V1 opened the floodgates for rear-wheel drive V8 sedans in America. The V1 was peak because the last time we seen a performance sedan was the 96 Impala SS with the 5.7 LT1. GM stepped it up with the V1. They gave it the LS6 and then went to the LS2. Once GM put the LS2 in the V1, it was game over at that point. Now, this was a versatile performance sedan because it was a family car, it was a street car, and a track car. This was the best of both worlds. It was dominating on both the streets and the tracks. The V1 is what really did it. Because after the V1, we got the SRT8 Chargers, the G8s that come later, the Chevy SSs, and all that, which went to the V2s, the V3s, the Black Wings, the Hellcats, the Red Eyes. And now the GTO raised the bar just a little bit higher, because technically, the GTO is the 5th gen Camaro before the 5th gen Camaro. Realistically speaking, this is the 5th generation GTO, so this is the 5th gen car too. The WS6 might have been Black Air Force One energy, but the GTO was Black Soldier Reeboks in New Orleans in the 1990s. If you know, you know. Trailblazer SS. The Trailblazer SS set the bar and the standard for the LS2. When the Trailblazer SS hit and people started building and modifying these things, I'm talking peak Trackhawk energy of the early 2000s. This was the Trackhawk before the Trackhawk. The LS2 was the big dog. It was on top until 2005. The 2005 to 2007 C6 Corvette absolutely killed the mystique and the aura of the LS2. 2008, the C6 got the LS3, and from that point, that was the nail in the coffin. The LS2 was never seen, heard, or mentioned ever again. Now, the LS2 will be what you would call the redhead stepchild of the LS family. It's definitely a bittersweet engine. The LS2 was a really good platform. It came in some really good vehicles. But the fatal mistake that General Motors made with the LS2 was releasing the LS3 right behind the LS2. Now, the LS2 went from 2005 to 2007, only giving it a 2-year run before General Motors will roll out the LS3 in 2008. And from that point, the LS3 completely overshadowed the LS2. Now, contrary to popular belief, the early model 05 through 07 C6 Corvettes is what cursed the LS2. Another big flaw was the 4-speed transmission, the 4L65. That, on top of all the other issues and problems that came with the 05 to 06 C6 Corvettes, it pretty much scared people away. Like, it steered people the opposite direction. 2007, GM started to work some of these things out, but due to the bad rep from the 05 or 06 models, the damage had already been done. By 2008, GM redid the C6 Corvette. They redid the inside, changed the wheels, and they introduced a new engine, the LS3. This was the nail in the coffin for the LS2. Then they doubled back and gave us the C6 Grand Sport, which is really a Z06 with an LS3 in it. You get the 335 wheels, you get the wide body, just everything. Now, the Grand Sport was hand-built with a dry slump system. And the manual Grand Sports, they came with a forged crank and is built in the same facility as the ZR1 and the Z06. So between the base and the Grand Sport, at this point, the LS2 did not have a say-so. It did not have a dog in this fight. By this point, the LS2 was completely forgotten. The LS3 had became the big dog. Then the LS3 went on to become the most swapped LS engine for a period of time. Now, the LS2 might have been a flop in the early model C6 Corvettes, but let me tell you something. The LS2 was a monster in the other GM performance vehicles. The GTO, the GOAT, was not a slouch. The GTO was an absolute monster and held its own. The GTO ran the streets after the Camaro and the Trans Am was discontinued. The Trailblazer SS held its own and put in a lot of work way before the LS3 was even thought of. The Trailblazer SS was the big dog in the GM world as far as trucks and SUVs. And last but not least, the CTS V1. The CTS V1 was putting belt to ass to everybody. Yeah, the CTS V1 was an absolute menace to society. So essentially, the early model C6 Corvette is the reason why the LS2 has such a bad name and a bad rep. But when it comes to the other LS2 cars, they definitely held their own.